We live in a rushed, hyper-capitalist world where time is a fiercely scarce resource for our modern caregivers today. Caught in this continuous cycle of professional and financial pressure, many parents find themselves prioritizing immediate survival over being intentionally present with their children. To reclaim even a few minutes of focus, the most common solution is the deployment of a smartphone with an open internet connection. While the device serves as a convenient pacifier, it also creates a vacuum. Where active parental guidance once existed, there is now a digital void waiting to be filled. Within that void, a child can easily spend hours lost in an infinite scroll of short-form reels and mobile games. But in this vast digital landscape, who is actually deciding what content the child encounters next? By handing over the device, caregivers unknowingly abdicate their role as curators. They pass the responsibility of environmental design to an unseen, automated architect. This transfer of authority leaves the child's developing mind vulnerable, as their world is now shaped by forces that operate entirely outside the family's view. To understand this architect, look at the tech companies that designed it to maximize screen time. The system relentlessly filters thousands of media nodes based purely on high retention scores. The surviving media isn't necessarily educational. It simply homogenizes into content perfectly aligned with corporate interests. Because these platforms are built and funded by companies looking to scale globally, the content the algorithm favors tends to reflect the specific cultural archetypes and consumerist values of the Western world. The algorithm isn't just a host for videos. Instead, it operates as an active engineering system that builds a culturally biased environment around the child's daily life. This process is known as data colonization, a reality where algorithmic environments begin to override a child's local cultural upbringing. Through repeated exposure, children begin to adopt the Westernized aspirations, thoughts, and behaviors promoted by the feed, slowly moving away from their own community's identity. For generations, unique values were transferred through localized, intentional interaction. Now, that heritage is being replaced by an automated, globalized programming. The algorithm has become a digital proxy parent, raising the next generation in the image of Western corporate interests rather than the family's own values. When we see our children change, we often blame society or their peers. Instead, we must reflect on our own choices as caregivers and the tools we use to buy back our time. Reclaiming that development doesn't mean technology must be banned, but the mobile phone can no longer be a child's primary companion. We must reintroduce intentional alternatives like physical storybooks, active outdoor play, creative hands-on activities, and meaningful family interaction. These methods are simply a return to the standard, intentional child-rearing practices that defined the decades between the 1920s and the 1990s. To protect a child's psychological growth, caregivers must take responsibility for filling the time vacuum with human connection rather than code. When digital tools are used, the first step is non-negotiable. Caregivers must establish and enforce strict time limits. The second step is curating content. By intentionally seeking out educational material, this engagement redirects the algorithm. Forced to rebuild the digital bubble, the system replaces passive entertainment with beneficial, positive inputs. If you do not teach your child with intention and awareness, someone else will: the algorithm, corporate interests, or an unseen cultural force.